Okay for sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Thank you. Let's do the other one. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, Sangha. We, for another Sunday, we don't have any volunteers in the children's program. These are the next meditators who will be joining us at some point in the future. So could somebody be willing to take an hour from now till, say, 11 o'clock and give Rebecca some help, because she really needs some support. Those kids are really active. Thank you. Okay. Whichever. If one of you could possibly, well, it looks like both of you are going. So if one of you was willing to go at 11 for at least a little while, okay, great. Thank you very much.
Wow. Well, this is a moment I hoped would happen again. It's not visible, but I do have a hole in my head, about 2.5 inches in diameter right here. So for those of you that are, anybody new today, first time? Hello. Well, I had a few weeks ago now, I had a small stroke on a plane on the way home. And I'm still have numbness in a few places, but nothing that interferes with anything. And they discovered, incidentally, during the scans, that I had an aneurysm, a rather large aneurysm on a brain artery. And so, with relative urgency, it will be 5 weeks tomorrow. I went in for surgery on that aneurysm, and it was a pretty big deal. It was a 6-hour surgery. It took them 3 hours to get in. They're doing very careful dissection. But they found it, and they put a titanium clamp on it, and it's good to go. That will not be, if I have a brain bleed ever, it will not be there. But it was a time bomb waiting to go off, and found by accident because of the stroke of great good fortune. So I feel very, at the moment, emotional. My emotions have been all over the map. And I guess one that I want to speak of right away is such gratitude that I have for you, for this community, for Melanie Moon, who became the conduit to the world from our cataclysm. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you to you for all of your prayers and emotional support. There was a time right after the surgery, I was in the ICU for 2 days, and it was bad. I had the surgery to deal with and all those hours of anesthesia, but they also put me on a medicine called Keppra, which my body does not do well with. And I was actually a little psychotic. And there was one moment when Jennifer, my wife, was on my left, and I remember distantly, like another lifetime, pleading with her, please help me, help me. And the two things that I leaned on was knowing of the love that was there for me in the world. You, and you, hello friends on the net. And I was reciting over and over again, I take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha. I take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha. It was like a little prayer or like a raft I could climb onto, the refuges. Because mindfulness was pretty blown out of the water. And the drugs that they give one so that one is not conscious are the drugs that have to do with being conscious. And the neurons that have to do with being present are among the ones they go after. And so it was really hard. And then emergence has happened, and I'm finally 2 more nights I'm off the anti-seizure medication. And it's now at half, and that's much better. But I come out of this, I still don't really quite understand everything that will emerge, but one thing is an underlining of that truth. Sabbe sankhara anicca, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. This is the moment of our life right now. This is it. And if we're not here for it, we're not here for it. And the only thing that makes the least sense is to love each other, to love ourselves and to love each other. Because in literally a heartbeat, everything can change. I said goodbye to my dear friend, many of you know him, Adrian Dick, in Vancouver. Had a lovely retreat, and at the airport in Vancouver we said goodbye and hugged, and then I walked into the airport, and it was then that I was having the stroke. Between there and the airplane. I didn't know. So we might as well love each other. That's the message I get. I scratch. It's numb. It's quite numb, and I find myself unconsciously. Is anyone home? Does this have any feeling? But I asked the surgeon if he would do a Harry Potter slash, but he declined. So. Regarding what's going to happen today, I'm going to introduce you to Frank Leder, who's sitting over there, and I'm going to relinquish the seat to him after we do the refuges. And maybe I'll wait. I'll introduce you when you come up. We'll do that. So the refuge. Clearly, we can't take refuge in being healthy. That comes and goes rather remarkably. What can we take refuge in? For 2,500 years, people have taken refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. In the Buddha, and being awake, noticing what's happening, and having some room, at least much of the time, to make some choices. That we really can't tell what's going to come up in any moment, what state we'll find ourselves in. But with mindfulness, we get to choose, well, shall I say this thing that I have the impulse to say or not? Shall I take this action or not? What garden do I want to plant? And then the Dharma, taking refuge in the way things actually are. Things really are impermanent. And no experiences that we have last. Pleasure comes, pain comes. I'm rather glad that pain and confusion and distress and psychotic experiences pass. It's kind of good. And then Sangha, the refuge in Sangha. I so rested in the love of this community. People brought food. Some of you in this room brought food. It magically appeared in Melanie's cooler outside our house. And then when we needed it, we went out and got it. And it was also done so respectfully, particularly in the first week to 10 days. We just couldn't greet anybody. I particularly was so at the edge of my capacity to be present. And it's so cool. In fact, we're missing it now. It's like, God, where's the cooler? We have to go shopping. Planning, shopping, cooking. But Jennifer and my daughter Tara took time off work too, and we were really at the edge. It was hard. And then there were cards, and it's been so beautiful, and I thank you. Oh, and not to forget this, Melanie created a GoFundMe site, which we estimated all the expenses that are going to happen before this is done, and $12,000 magically appeared in the GoFundMe site, which even with insurance, this country is pretty challenging, but even with insurance, it would have been just a massive hole. And here it is, filled in by your kindness and generosity. Quite something. I guess I could share this piece. Every time something of kindness came in, I found myself like this. It was like, wow, people actually are supportive. It doesn't fit my early childhood experience of some neglect. And so quite challenging to my self-structure of I got to work all the time, because if I don't work all the time, then it's actually not true. I can actually take some ease. So again, thank you. So let's see. We thought at first that, this would be a great time to practice the guitar. I hardly have had the energy for it. So please join in as makes sense for you. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. And once more, I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Frank, you probably prefer a chair to this rocker, I would guess. You want to bring the chair you're on up? Hey. In a profound way, we're actually brothers. We're brothers of a common mother. Ruth Dennison, whose picture is over there, and who, were you 18 when you came to Breitenbush?
Yes.
As a handsome young 18-year-old German lad, he came to travel around America. And his traveling around America wound him up at Breitenbush Hot Springs on a retreat with Ruth Dennison, with Doug Pullen on there. Maybe I was there too, who knows, I went every year for many years. And then he became a pilgrim coming back to the United States almost every year.
Yes.
And how long would you spend?
At Ruth's place?
Yeah.
Well, usually I stayed 2 weeks, sometimes 3, and at one point I was staying for 40 days in a cabin that Ruth gave to me in her desert meditation center.
So, for decades, Frank was going at one time and I was going at another time. We never met each other until just before Ruth's death, really. And
But I heard stories about you.
I heard stories about you. All right, I did too. And then we got to meet, and then at the time of Ruth's death and since, we've had this wonderful friendship. And it's great to find a sibling. You didn't even have to use, 23andMe. But there's another hat that Frank wears, which is he and his wife, Kali, are the creators and founders of an organization in Europe called Touch Life. The Touch Life methodology, the Touch Life school of massage and healing. And they have trained more than 2,000 people, not on a weekend retreat, but who have taken a year of training with them. And so the impact on Europe of this man has been remarkable. It's a kind of body work that's really based in mindfulness and intuition and great sensitivity. So I think I'm going to scoot and let you take over the meditation.
Thank you for this very
Here,
friendly
you take-
and warm introduction,
you take this.
dear Robert. Okay.
So this is, green light is on.
Okay. On. So you hear me all right now? Great.
Let me just adjust a bit, okay? Bend it a bit. Okay.
Okay, great. And I'm so happy that Robert is in the seat again, aren't you? because, right, I just say a few words and then I will guide you for the meditation. Because when we planned my visit, this is my 5th visit annually here at PIMC, and I'm so happy to be back here. I'm really happy in this particular Sangha community here in Portland. And we planned it several months ago. And then as it was coming closer, you had this really health trouble all of a sudden hitting you. So it was all at stake. And I think you have a marvelous and really fast recovery that, given what you had to go through. Yeah. But still, we just heard 5 weeks ago you were really flat. And now you are back here working. And we had a wonderful retreat that we taught together yesterday, and so thanks to your willingness to be here again, I could also come. So here I am. Who has seen me before in this room? Oh, wonderful. Oh, nice. And welcome to the others. And also, hallo meine Freunde in Deutschland. Who will see this maybe later when I am back home and share the link. So until 11 it is, or? No, more like 10 to 11. Like 10 to 11, so that's 25 minutes we have to sort of go into the practice. And I will guide you, meaning that I will say every now and then, every few minutes, a little reminder to your practice of mindfulness. So just be comfortable, sit in any way that you feel supported, concentrated, relaxed as well. And you can close your eyes or open them any way you like. You can also change, of course. Yeah, and just experience once again and even more deeply this moment and what it reveals to you. And let's just look at the signals that our bodies are sending to us. How is your body? How is your physical state of being? Just friendly, warmly look at that for a moment. Right, and notice in which kind of posture your body has arranged itself, the space that it is taking here in the larger space, and so many signals of aliveness are there. If you look and certainly tuning into your body in such a mindful way also may include noticing your breathing. So wonderful, this constant wave that is moving through us, bringing life to us, nurturing us. So maybe you have greeted your body, maybe you have noticed different sensations, maybe you have experienced the breathing movement consciously, and so let's also become aware of our mental, of our emotional life. Always changing, of course, but how is it now when you check in with yourself? What kind of states of minds, what kind of emotions are visiting and saying hello, and maybe you also can friendly look towards them. Be a friendly host, notice what is there, how it feels like, what is calling for your attention. And maybe when you friendly turn towards all this, it can quieten down or transform itself just by your willingness to be present. So for a few minutes I will give some guidance and then my voice will be silent again. Most of you are familiar with the first foundation of mindfulness. That means practicing our mindfulness, our concentration, by tuning in to sensations that are born in our physical senses. So I invite you, if you like, to tune into your pelvis area, the middle part of your body. And just check in with the places where you are actually touching a pillow or a chair. Just make sure you are noticing, is it tingling, is it vibrating, is it comfortable? Sometimes some pain or tension, sometimes small movement. And just make sure you're really letting yourself sit there. Relax all unnecessary tension so that you have a conscious, mindful, and good base for sitting. And then sometimes the spine, the upper part of the trunk, sort of rearranges itself as a result of our presence being put to the base of the spine. So if there's small movement, little swinging, just allow that in the background. Okay, so maybe you have done this, and then 1 second area for your attention. I would like to move your mindfulness to your face, and especially in this area that we call mouth and lips. Just be aware, are my lips comfortably relaxed, maybe lightly touching, or is there some extra pressure? Then maybe you want to release that. And also check with the condition that your jaw muscles are in. Sort of comfortably hanging there, or maybe some extra tension, then you could let go there. And lastly, just check whether the tongue muscle is sort of also enjoying a rest. Is it lying in the space that it has inside your mouth? Or is it, sometimes pushing up against the upper part of the mouth? If that is the case, just see whether you can relax this tongue muscle. And you might notice that it is much easier to have a nice, relaxed breathing. So for the few minutes that we have left for this practice time, just check with yourself, how did I spend this time with myself? Was it enjoyable? Did I discover something? Was it hard work? Was it a surprise maybe? And if you found yourself in a good space, in a good concentration, then how did you enter? What worked for you? What could you apply? What was a good help to find some peace of mind or a concentrated sort of attitude, a willingness to be with yourself and discover, explore? So I thank you very much for your willingness to be present and be with yourself. So, you're taking over.
A little qigong.
How wonderful.
Okay. Thank you. So if you'd like to join me with by standing and moving a little bit, wake up our sense of balance, our contact with the earth. After sitting still, we can move a little bit sideways, back and forth, Last night we had a family gathering with a 5-month-old baby. It was fun watching the discovery of sensations in that little one. She's got all the qigong moves. So we make it more formal, but we don't want to miss anything. So we begin with our shoulders and relax the shoulders and sink. Wake up the knees, wake up the ankles, feel the softness with a nice round movement and an easy breath. Exhaling as we sink, inhaling, coming up, and exhaling. And then moving out to create more space for new energy in the lungs, and sinking. Expanding to the side, and releasing. And then we use our imagination to create a rainbow overhead, paint it in all the colors. Or just choose one. It's your rainbow. And how does the mood change when you open your arms to the sky? Then sink, cross the wrists, come up and separate clouds. And how does the mood change when we move the clouds out of the way? Clear our vision. And then opening to the side, push and pull, one hand moving forward, palm forward, and the other one palm up, receiving. Pressing and receiving at the same time. Feel the hips rotate, the spine stretch, different positions. Flexibility in all these muscles that get tight, driving around the city. And then rotate the arms as much as is comfortable for you. And then coming to stillness, we've awakened the knees and the shoulders and rising and falling of the breath. Then we'll reach up and feel the weight shift into one leg and reach up. And then release, feel the weight shift over here. And immediately the intelligence of the body figures out how to remain upright and balanced with our arm in this unusual position. There's just a natural understanding. This is the best way to stay balanced, right here. And then turn and gaze at the moon. Feel the spine open up in new ways. And then a simple press to the corner, noticing the weight move in that direction and over this direction. And the body just responds, upright, balanced organization. And then cloud hands, we cross over and focus on the palm of our hand, and then let the other palm face the earth. And as we bring both hands across, it's as if there's a cloud moving across the sky. Switch. And the shadow of the cloud moves on the earth underneath. So there's this natural connection between the sky and the earth through the cloud. And as we focus on our hands, we also notice the whole room moving beyond the hand. So we have this precise attention And we have this open awareness. Both tools are in our toolbox. Mindfulness can be very precise and at the same time very open. The whole room is in our awareness. But we still have our focus on the cloud moving across the sky. Okay, then we'll step out, do some larger movements. Notice the mood change again. Switching to the other side, splashing in the sea. Then turning back to the other side, riding the waves, hearing the symphony of the floorboards. And switching. Coming back one more time, palms up. Move forward with the palms down. So we make these figure eights with our hands. And turn to the other corner. And back to the center. Just feeling the stillness, feeling the quiet when we come back to the center. But there's a flow of sensations in the stillness. You make a fist and sink, let the dragon rise from the sea, and the mood changes again. Sense of agency. We can direct these sensations into form, lights up our imagination. Spread our wings, fly with the cranes, up on the toes. The balance emerges out of a new gesture. And then turning the wheel. Changing direction. And coming to stillness again. Giving our balance a little challenge. Lift one arm and one leg, bouncing the ball, working a marionette. And then final movement is just centered breath. Breathing with all of us together, harmonizing the group, harmonizing the body, harmonizing the imagination. And then bring your hands together in gratitude for another opportunity to practice. I'll be back into my routine the third Saturday of the month of January with a Qigong workshop from 10 till 2. Third Saturday. Thank you.
Well, you're most welcome.
This was great. I'm going to be back.
Good.
Thank you.
Come. I neglected to acknowledge and express my gratitude for Gregory Malouf, who is one of our teachers and is now also managing PIMC. And we've been preparing for a couple of years for a transition, ultimately. And the idea was that PIMC could go on if I were absent without being a crisis. And it wasn't at all. It ran beautifully with Greg and Avi at the helm here, and all the teachers who stepped up and taught on the Sundays, and all the classes just went on. It went on as though it was a functional organization, because it really is. Surprise, not a surprise at all, by intention. And in that regard, one organizational announcement. Many of you won't have received them yet. We sent out some letters yesterday, fundraising letters. We have come to the end of the year with about a $10,000 deficit. And so we're asking for financial support at the end of the year. We have one donor who has offered a $4,000 matching donation. So for the first $4,000 that are donated, it doubles. And just the ongoing support of PIMC. There's a donation bowl here, and a box at the back. And you can also go online and make a monthly contribution, which is the Stewardship Circle. So I have a few announcements. The Transitions Project, clothing and things are very helpful for people getting off the streets. This is really important. If you've been around for a while, you would have been inundated by emails about our classes and retreats and things. And Gregory and his wife Molly on a donation, she's doing 20 hours a month in helping get this advertising thing together. And you've noticed the change to it, I'm sure. Once a week, Monday morning, there's a digest which will come out through Constant Contact. And it's really beautiful, and it has all the announcements, has all the upcoming events. And they're also available on the website. So I encourage you, if you're not on the Constant Contact list, sign up. You can do it on the website. You can also do it, the website's the easiest way. And then you'll be able to know this. This is the list of things. It's remarkable. Next Saturday, December the 21st, thank you, KB, and her husband who run how many teams do you have out there?
We have 3 right now.
3.
4 in the summer.
So they have teams going all over the country, right, who do theater. And they're offering us the gift of, this is the 3rd or 4th time, the Scrooge, the family performance of Scrooge here Saturday, December 21st. And it's really a great production. So I encourage you to come. And then we have Buddhist movie night. We have another mindfulness hike with Vic. New Year's Eve, Gary and I are doing the annual New Year's Eve grief ritual and taking of refuge. It's like seeing in the new year in a way of letting go of the past and setting our aspirations for the future. And then there's all kinds of classes. January the 3rd, Friday, Foundations with Gary starts. There's day-long retreats. Doyle is doing an intermediate skillful speech class. January 10th, the doulas are coming again, another workshop, and so on. There's a ton of things happening. Please look at the list and participate. I forget the number exactly, but this fall we had about 130 people doing classes. That's a lot. It's almost as though we've got our act together and are running a school, a Dharma school. You can connect with Avi if you want a consultation with myself or one of the other teachers. connect with Avi, and he'll set you up with that. And are you interested in doing that today? If you have a hot question about your practice or a nagging one, you can see Jim Dalton, and he'll meet with you in this little consult room here. In the vestry. He'll meet with you in the vestry. So, we're so lucky to have each other and this place and the Dharma. So I want to invite Frank back up here. And here, I believe, last I heard, he was going to speak about the 3 refuges, which are near and dear to this heart. That's what I was hanging on to and floating out there in medication problem land. So, come on up here. Ooh, it's going to be a strong one. He's taking off his coat.
All right.
Voila.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, one thing I forgot. When you receive the connections, the what's it called, the digest, click on it somewhere. That way we know you got it. And we're trying to figure out how to spread the news without overdoing it. So that will help us.
All right. Good. So you can hear me again? Fine. Yeah, in the last years I was always prepared for a specific topic that I wanted to share and speak about. And I had it all laid out and structured and really knew what I was wanting to say. Now this year I didn't do this deliberately because I had the strong feeling, because of what our dear teacher and friend Robert was going through. First I has to come here and somehow connect with you and see how are you doing and how is all this affecting the community. And then from there somehow develop something that feels maybe connected to the situation and wants to be shared. So I flew into the country last Sunday, and then I visited my good friend Donald Wagner. He lives between Newport and Corvallis in the Oregonian rainforest. And these 3 days have been good to prep up my English. It's because when I am invited here to speak to you, I'd rather be a bit more fluent. And then on Thursday, I came to your house, and I'm really wonderfully taken care of by Jennifer and Robert there. And then we had a wonderful day on Friday, and I met the teacher's circle in the evening, and then yesterday we were teaching together, and somehow I was witnessing how you were getting back into your, teaching role, how your strength has come back. And so I also noticed and could witness how stable this community has become. How good the teachers, the teaching circle took care of everything whilst you couldn't do it. And that you also as a community, you kept on working on yourselves. You kept filling the classes. You came on the Sundays. You carried it through. And by all this, you also supported Robert's healing process and somehow showed that whatever he has been planting here, has taken seeds and has been growing. And that is wonderful. So my deep respect to all this that I could see and witness there. So that also that all somehow formed in myself last night into the wish to speak about the three jewels. And are you all familiar with that expression, the three jewels? Sounds expensive. And actually, I have often heard other teachers, mainly my teacher Ruth, say it's actually priceless. You know, these three jewels, they are so valuable that you cannot actually weigh them with gold or money or currency or anything. And you are all practicing meditation, many of you since many years. And it's an open secret between meditators that practicing alone is much harder, isn't it? And then when you come and some friends meet, or even a group or a large group like here, then the concentration is much easier to find, isn't it? And that alone shows how big a support we can get when we practice together. And that's speaking to the third of the jewels, but maybe I should keep the order. So, what are these three jewels? Most of you know them by heart, some may be new to this information. The first jewel is referred to as the Buddha, the original one who started after his realization, after he has gone through a lot of hardship and strong practice. When he initiated this circle of teaching, then he became a teacher, a awakened teacher. So the first jewel just says, if you are seeking help, if you are somehow feeling you need shelter, if you feel like you need safety for yourselves, real safety, emotional and also physical safety. You want to go to a place or to somebody that you really can lean against this person. You totally feel safe, no danger there. Then the first jewel where we can take refuge in is referred to a teacher, female or male, of course. Like our main teacher was a woman. And she did wonderfully as a teacher. And it was very difficult for her, just to pay reverence to our dear teacher Ruth. Think about when she started teaching in the 70s. That was very unusual, that a woman would step up and take the teacher's seat. Because in this Buddhist tradition, the tradition is quite male-oriented. So Ruth was an example for a new role model. And she decided to teach women and men equally. That was very nice. So, and this outer teacher somehow shares what he or she has found about the path that we walked. And actually, this first jewel refers to your inner teacher as well, to this aspect in all of us that has the capacity to be awake, to be wise, to understand. And so it's always a reflection inner-outer. This is at least how we see it. It's not just looking outward to a teacher who may have found something that we are still seeking, but it actually, brings in a process of resonance, so that you may see something in a person that you respect, but then you start looking for this quality in yourself. And you will find it as time goes by. And then you discover that everything that you were seeking outside has been already inside. So that's the path of awakening. And that's also the message of the original teacher, the Buddha, who lived 2,500 years ago. He said, look, what I have found, you can find. And his famous last words were, work out your own way, your own salvation in diligence. I translate this to, if you want it, work. It means if you want it, you can work it out. You know, it's really empowering that we can make a difference in our lives and also for the lives of others. So that's the first jewel, the teacher. And obviously, you have really served wonderful as a teacher, my dear friend Robert, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. You know, take Robert out of the picture, we would all not be here, would we? So it's extremely important to acknowledge that somebody, you know, takes the responsibility and steps forward and says, I'm willing to serve. And that, of course, is also true to the teaching colleagues that have been initiated by you, who have been trained over a long time, many, many years of practicing and listening and assisting. And now here's a very rich body of teachers who can serve and can inspire. And that is very attractive. So far, so much to the first one, the first jewel. And then the second one is the teaching itself. And the Sanskrit word is Dharma. You all have heard that. And what I'm doing now is called a Dharma talk, which means that I'm sharing what I have learned about this particular path, this particular tradition, which of course has a universal understanding about life, but the way it approaches that understanding is different from other traditions. And it is a very rich teaching body. It has literally, I have found anyway, hundreds of practices, hundreds of tools that are all very, very helpful. And because there are so many, it means because we are all very different in a way we are the same, but also we are different, individual. And one and the same tool doesn't work perfectly for each and everyone. But we would like to have the tool that just is good for ourselves. And so it is good that there are many offerings, and different teachers use different tools because they have found them especially helpful for themselves. So they know a lot about this, and then therefore they share this particularly, how can I say, with a lot of energy. But the Buddhist path, the Dharma, is really very worked out. And I cannot say about myself that I'm a scholared reader of all the Buddhist literature, but the books that are about the path, I mean, they would fill this room, you know, they would just fill it. Thousands of books about it in all sorts of languages. So it is really a rich thing. And I'm very grateful that I was introduced to this tradition because I'm, you know, I don't want an easy, simple answer to a difficult question. I don't believe in this. Becoming a wise person, becoming more and more understanding, searching for the answers to the big secrets is, you know, a big endeavor. And it takes probably much more than just one lifetime. So what we need to discover and the tools that we use there cannot be that simple. You know, they must be articulate. And there are many, many, many answers necessary to understand the big picture. And all this is provided in the Dharma. And therefore, I'm also for sharing. In the groups that I teach, we always have time, the meditation groups, for sitting and walking and using different practices, but we always take time to share about how did it work and what did we discover, what did we explore. You know, like you're going on a meditation journey and then you're coming back. Now, what treasures do you have to share now? And by sharing, we understand by hearing how did you do it, how did you do it, how did you, overcome, that can also enrich my life, that can also help me to work out my issues. And so speaking and sharing about how we proceed on this particular path with our meditations, I find very valuable. And so that is the Dharma. And it is said that it is good fortune to even meet the Dharma. You know, it is not for granted. Information is so widespread available right now. This is our age, the age of information. And we know we can Google almost anything and get it, But this is just for the last years that information is so available. And still in this big pool of information, we have to find the right one, because the sheer mass of it is not quenching our thirst. We have to find, we have to pick out the right kind of information so that we can, feel safe and be nurtured. So there's another problem coming up with the sheer, mass of it. But that's just, I got a little bit sidetracked. What I want to get back to is that just a living human being walking on the earth, he or she may never run into a fine spiritual teaching. It's not for granted. It is there, everywhere, but you have to find it. And somebody must be there who's willing to share. And it can be that somebody, walks the earth and dies and never got in touch with it. So we all have come in touch with it. And it is openly shared here in Portland. And you can take as much of this as you like, according to your time, according how much you are willing to invest of your time in this practice. And that is really good fortune. And so we can all, be happy about that a place is given here with such a rich teaching body, and that you can all come and join and practice. And that brings me to the third jewel, the Sangha. And that I find particularly important to have in these difficult times. Now, I think the times that we are living in are marvelous and thrilling and extremely difficult to bear and hold, because we see all the time the two sides so clearly. I mean, great inventions, artists, good people, you name it. On the other side, I don't want to mention, it's obvious, a lot of dukkha and suffering. So to hold this in our two hands is really a big task, and it is so easy to become frustrated and depressed and even angry about all the wrongdoings. And it's almost impossible to shield yourself off, because the information finds its way to you anyway. In the age of information, that is obvious. There's nothing wrong with it. This is what is happening. So we have to find a way, to stand our ground and, find or keep our inner balance and sense of peace and mindfulness in this. A big challenge. and difficult to do it alone. So knowing that there are people who are trying their best to live a mindful, harmonious life, to be kind to themselves first, and then from there also share with others, to know such people and know where do they, where can I connect with them? Where can we meet? How can we support each other? How can we join hands so that we don't feel isolated or alone with the whole load? This is very, very important. If people don't have that support, that background, they are in danger of, losing it. The weight is too much then. We need support. We need to feel that there are many people, actually countless people, but we don't see that with all the difficulties, coming right at us. But that is actually the truth. There are millions, billions of people who are working hard to make the world a better place. And we are the plenty, we will succeed. But you're not always seeing this. Yeah? You are forgetting about this. You feel disconnected. And there I see a danger. And with a community of mindful harmony in reach, you can always reconnect, you can always recharge, you can, take refuge and take a breath and relax again, feel the friends, get a hug, give a hug, so on and so forth. And just also, as I mentioned earlier, the practice itself works often a lot better if you are practicing in a room with many people. Because their motivation somehow goes into resonance with our motivation. And our resistances to the practice are lessened. They are less likely to jump on us, all over us, when we see there are other people and they sit still. Well, I better sit still also. She can do it, so I want to be able to do it too. So immediately that speaks to my inner motivation and my discipline, and so I can more easily, take the necessary steps on my practice, on my path. So that's how I see the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And Robert was singing these to us. We were all taking the refuge in the beginning of the ceremony. And I was listening again, of course, as you can imagine, I have heard these many, many times. But how nicely it is laid out. The Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Take one out and it wouldn't be attractive, would it? I mean, we can be in community with many people in different sort of energy fields. And we can be even harmonious. But if there's no mindfulness, it's a different thing. So here you have both. You are acknowledging like the emotional warmth of true and working relationships, but there's also mentioned it is about developing mindfulness. It is a training situation. I find this very important. And then the second one, the Dharma, the path of understanding, and that is talking to our mental capacity, to our intellectual capacity, to our wisdom mind, but that can be, a bit easily detach itself. But then the other side is understanding, and do you remember? What is the second word? Exactly, right. So that makes the right kind of balance. Yeah? Because if you take one out, either one, you're sort of, out of balance, and you're too emotional or you're too intellectual. But that it is actually a combination of those two, makes it a very wonderful and balanced and stable teaching. So, Now, this is what I have to say at this moment, and I would like to open up the space for sharings. What you would like to share about Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The teacher, male or female, the teachers, the Dharma, the teaching, and the community. There's a person, and who is helping me with this microphone? Do we have a runner? Thank you very much. It's working. Right. There you go.
It works. So the last time I decided not to speak when I was told to, it was an interesting story. It dealt with me in a suit, sushi, and soy sauce. And it was not a good result, mind you. So I was called to a So saith the shepherd, so saith the flock church last weekend. And that was a good, interesting experience as I started with saying, is this an intervention? Thank you for explaining the articulate way that you did with oneness that we all are. As the nose would try to explain to the hand what smell is.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, the importance of this, the hand, understanding it's one body.
Mm-hmm.
We, humanity, will be transitioning. And the ones that will remain are the ones that are ruled by the laws in their heart and have presence in their mind from the minute, second that they wake up to the minute, second that they go to sleep. They will be the only ones to remain. But everyone should understand that we are one consciousness and rejoice as you'll be back.
Thank you. There's a Dharma sister who wants to share.
I'm fortunate to have been here in Portland this weekend. We live in Seattle. And we're able to make the time to come this morning. And part of what I was thinking during the meditation was how wonderful it is to be with a group of people. And you actually used this word, which is why I'm saying it, who are trying. You know, the fact that we're all trying together is really empowering and heartwarming and sort of saving in this time. And so I just wanted to thank you all. Sometimes we can join online, but it's not the same. Mm-hmm. So it's great to be here, and it's really, that sense of trying, I think, is really important, and it lifts us up.
Thank you for sharing. I would just like to comment briefly on that, because you said we can also join online. And I think here it is really made easily available. There are Dharma sisters and brothers who are joining right now online. And if we did not meet here now in person, they would have nothing to see. So, I mean, it is important that we do meet in real life. Let's not forget about that. And then that can be shared, and that is also helpful. But meeting on the path and really practicing together, seeing, hearing, smelling, talking to each other, touching each other, I mean, may this stay also in practice. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Matt. I've been here just a matter of months, but I've been kind of practicing before and outside here. And I think for my part, everybody has a story. And the Dharma and the Sangha helps to find the tools to deal with my particular story. And I would think everyone. At first I thought, well, my story is so bizarre and crazy and never going to be able to figure it out. But through practice and through the tools that I've learned here and outside of here, in the Buddha practice, it's just come up with so amazing answers have come to me that just really make sense. And I think that's part of it too, is I love the common sense of and the reality-based teachings of the Buddha.
Yes.
And the Dharma, and how helpful it is. And it really made my story pretty fantastic. At first I thought it was kind of not a good story, but and getting over that idea that I can love myself and be happy for myself, and I'm not on an ego trip. It's like I feel like I'm getting it from others, and it's coming out in me. It's all good.
Good.
I appreciate being here. Appreciate everybody here. Thank you for coming, Robert. Song is just unbelievably fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Right, any more questions or sharings? Some person?
Hi, I'm Michael. Before I got here this morning, I was very triggered and started dashing off a ferocious email. And one of the things I really appreciate about this and you speaking is to find the, I don't want to call it ability, but find the ability to keep choosing this, to continue to keep choosing this, because when I'm angry, that feels great, right? I'm really strong, I'm really, and then I'm like, do you really want to say that? I don't know, maybe not. And to keep finding in myself what that is that brings me back here. And for me, it's not discipline in the sense of I should do this because it's, the right thing or whatever. That doesn't hold much sway. It's more about, well, where do you want to be? What do you want to feel? What do you want to choose?
Yeah.
And how are you going to get there?
Right.
And this is how I get there.
Good.
Thank you.
Going once. Do I hear
Yeah,
$50?
Maybe I say something more and that may trigger another question or sharing. So whilst you bring it over, I say what I heard from Ruth, why people go on the path, why people start meditating. Well, you have all your own reasons, but this is what Ruth said. She said there are two good reasons why people, become interested about the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, why they become interested to go on a spiritual search, a path, why they are interested to try out a practice and invest, energy and time and sweat and God knows what else. So, number one, you are in trouble, you are in pain, you have had, a difficult life, some hardship, illness, anything, I mean, what in Buddhist terms is called dukkha, and the world is full of it. And we are, to some extent, full of it or in touch with it. So then one is looking for help. I mean, is this all? And how do I work myself out of that? How do I get out of that pain, that depression? You know, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? So that is one really strong motive why people go on a search, on a path. They are not happy. They haven't arrived in happiness. But they are in pain, in despair, and want to find out. So that is one. Second, she says, inbuilt in all human beings is the intuition. Somehow, deep down, we know there is so much more possible for us. We are not living our potential. And that potential, because it is in us, you know, it's somehow calling from within. It doesn't let us rest until we have fully realized it. Until then, there's work to do, practice to make, you know, things to find out, to explore, to grow, so on and so forth. So she says either one, you know, either the dukkha hit you hard and that brings you on the path, or you have been lucky and you sort of hear this inner call, you know, where's the freedom? Where's the opening? How can I become more loving? How, you know, the good stuff. And she says, doesn't matter which one. Either this or that. And in life, it's sometimes one, sometimes the other. But these were the two good reasons why people go on a spiritual path. Greetings to you, Ruth. Please.
All right. Yeah. In the song we sing there, the Dharma, or the Dhamma, Path of the Dhamma is life, truth, and loving is the way it's written there. But I saw earlier when it was we first got those script sheets, it was truth and light. That was the way Thich Nhat Hanh wrote that. And we have since scratched that out and put love. So I hear light a lot. I read light a lot in the scriptures and the reading suttas and such. But I don't read the word love very much. Mm-hmm. I see love, you know, loving kindness is talked about, but the word love doesn't pop up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about clinging and attachment to others, which is a lot of what we interpret as love.
Yeah.
So you have some comments on that. I'm just tossing this out because I don't know. I'm not sure myself. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, thank you for raising this question. I think if you read long enough, you read about everything in the Buddhist literature. And we tend to see and hear and read what we need to hear and see and read next, what is helpful for us. So, you know, since we all have so much problem with ourselves, we read a lot about dukkha, because that talks to us, you know? So, and how did other people find a way through and out of their dukkha? So I think it's very wise to look at that and explore and somehow find many tools that work for ourselves, so that when we have difficulties or when other people that we are connected to are facing difficulties, that we are not turning the cold shoulder, but that we are able to say, oh, you poor, what is going on? Tell me, you know, how can we maybe together work, you know, out of this mess? And so that is the dukkha part. And then, yes, there's a lot of talk and written things about light. The word enlightenment carries it, obviously. So what does that mean? That translates for more understanding, for less ignorance. It translates into more wisdom. And I mean, light sounds more attractive and more mysterious, but it just means that you see and understand what is going on. And that is very helpful, because if you see and understand what is going on, you're making less mistakes. You're not stumbling over things all the time, because you can clearly see what the right path is for you, and maybe also for others. Huh? And so that is the light that brings in more wisdom and understanding. And one cause of all the suffering, the Buddha says, is not because people are wanting to do wrong, or that people are, bad people or driven by only instincts and rage and anger, but he says they don't know better. Not enough understanding. So that light talks to that missing of understanding. And then thank you very much to mention love. I mean, as human beings, we need to love, and we need to be loved. Otherwise, we feel isolated. The emotional life is very important for us. And, friends, Dharma, brothers and sisters, if possible, if you are lucky, a loving relationship, somebody that we can really be close to, people that, are okay, that we hug them or give us a hug, human touch, warmth, true warmth, that is very important. And there are many wise women and men, many countless songs who talk about that love, no matter what the question, love is the answer. And that just means that if we have worked ourselves through the misunderstandings and come to grips with ourselves and others, if we truly understand how the game goes, then the door is open for love. Because no conflict cuts that love off. So how I understand it is that love and compassion, which is not exactly the same, but very close, brothers and sisters, love and compassion. That is our natural state if all the conflicting factors have been cleared and brushed away. It's not artificial, but that is what is left when the conflicting and misunderstanding factors have been cleared. And therefore, we have all these tools. And we have to be humble, and we have to be willing to work step by step by step. If we want the big unconditional love right away, of course we all want that, but that's a very daring thing to grasp from where we are looking, and every step on the way to that is necessary, and every step on the way to that is also beautiful, not wasted. We only have to take it. I hope that made sense to you. Okay, thank you. So we have maybe one more exchange or sharing. This lady would like to say something, or please, you, and then back there, the last one, huh? Okay.
Okay, hi. Thank you for coming and being with us today.
Pleasure.
So this relates to what you were just saying, as well as Michael, about the email, because I received an email yesterday. I had sent an email out to a group of people, and a couple of people, but one in particular, responded to me having totally misread my intent of what I was saying, and came back in a very negative way towards me. And I was shocked and really hurt by it, even though I don't even really know this person. And I know that I want to acknowledge that, I'm sorry you misunderstood my intent with this. And I know how to do it, and how to respond from a point of love.
Yes.
But yet there's this gap in me between like knowing how I want to respond and this other part that's like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Why did you read it that way? Without even asking.
Sure.
And I don't want to respond from there, but that's still happening
Yeah.
in me. And how to handle that gap between my ideal and the little hurt person.
Well, thank you for sharing so openly. Who knows what she is sharing? We all know that. So, you do something, the other person is doing something appropriate, and then we are hurt, and next thing comes up is anger, irritation. Cannot be otherwise. The only thing that helps is that you notice this, that you can call it what it is. I'm annoyed, I'm irritated. It is not pleasant. So you are witnessing this, and it will pass. And then comes the understanding, everything that you have learned, and with this found inner balance again, from there you act. That's what I can share from my own experience. Okay, thank you. Here was one. KB, right.
I just wanted to say that something you said just pierced the cloud of my understanding today. And I'm sure the repercussions will kind of fall out all week. You said you look inside for the things that you were looking for outside, which seems like a very simple, duh kind of thing. But for some reason, for me, it always sort of feels like an exhausting obstacle course for me to try to go from where I am to where the Dharma wants me to be, which is right there, just explaining to you the difference that I'm trying to. But the way you said it sort of felt like you opened a wormhole, like you could just jump.
Super.
And so I'm going to be thinking about that all week, so thank you.
Happy. So I think there's this gentleman in the back. Maybe we take his sharing or question as a closing then. Okay. Okay, good.
Hi, my name is Danny.
Hello.
Hello. And I do think the times we are living in, the Sangha is so important to me right now. It's when I heard the word triggered, I feel like we're all triggered by so many things, emails, things like that. By the way, just a side note, email is the worst friggin' way to communicate with people. There is no emotional context, and I won't go on about what email will do.
Okay.
Just be very, my whole thing is the email is experienced it the hard way.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I wanted to ask you this question because I feel like part of your practice is involving touch.
Yeah.
And we're living in a time where we're afraid to touch each other.
Yeah.
There's political implications, there's all sorts of things going on, and yet it's so important that we touch each other, and
Yes.
it's a human thing, and it's part of being polarized as we are in the society. And I'd like to hear you talk about a little bit the value of touch in the work you do.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'm setting you up with that.
Yeah, all right, thank you. So I have 3 minutes to say something about that? Okay, fine, yeah. So I second what you said. Touch is extremely important for human beings. I mean, there are studies being done. Touch is very healthy, and it boosts up our immune system, and we just enjoy it, and we fear it sometimes. And of course, the right kind of touch. Touch can also hurt and be aggressive and be inappropriate, obviously. So the right kind of touch, the mindful, the compassionate, the friendly, the therapeutic, the healing, the warmth, that kind of touch between parents and children, between couples, between friends, or just saying hello to somebody and, patting his back. And waitresses and waiters know when they touch the client that they are serving, the tip will be higher. That has been researched. So it just opens up a channel. You know, we are mammals. You are unthinkable without touch. You wouldn't be here if your parents hadn't touched each other. And, you know, without the touch, once we are born, we cannot survive. So that is deeply woven into our nature as human beings. And because, of course, of all the hurt and hardship and wrongdoings between men and women, we are very sensitive now that it is not another inappropriate approach, you know. And so everybody's allowed to say no and stop, so far and not closer, you know, of course. But behind that, even if you have been hurt before, you may still, you know, have, how do you say, a want, like it would be nice if somebody was there for you and also held you, or stroked you, or touched you in the right kind of way. And my professional life, you know, has been down that road. And I have been trained in different methods, and I'm teaching, as Robert said, people who want to develop that particular skill to touch people on their bodies so that they can feel safe, that, you know, some healing can be supported, that a balance where there's imbalance can be initiated and facilitated, and so on and so forth. And in our particular approach, Touch Life, we are trying to bring all this mindfulness training right into that tradition of massaging and touching people in a therapeutic way. It's nicely overlapping and really helps each other. And if you have the time today from 2 to 4 in this room, I will guide a workshop. I will teach, you know, the basics of how a hand should approach and land on a body. If you learned that, well, your partners from now on until you die will be happy. And we will have fun, and we will do it carefully and mindfully. I make sure everybody can be safe. That is very important in practicing this. And we will stay closed. We will not take our clothes off. What I want to teach today in these 2 hours works perfectly well through, you know, a t-shirt or whatever. So that is an extra offering for today. So thank you very much for listening to me. I really had a lot of fun sharing with you. And I thank you for inviting me again, dear Robert. And may you all have a wonderful day today and a happy life until we see each other again.
Thank you, dear Frank. The kids will be in a moment and we'll make the big circle. But you still have a spot or two for Touch Life sessions.
Yes.
What, is it tomorrow or?
Tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, I have 3 more openings for individual sessions here
in Gregory's office, actually. So come and see Frank after if you'd like a session with him, please. So let's make a big circle, and maybe Melanie, would you go grab the kids? And anyone who would like to join us in the central circle, please do. You don't have to be in a child's body. You can, come on, Frank, you join us in the middle. Have a seat. Bring up a zafu and have a seat. Yo. Thank you to those of you joining us out in internet land. Nicely done.
Nicely done, yeah.
Avi, come sit in the middle with us. Come sit in the middle. I know you're a child at heart.
Yes, I am. And can I like try and blow out the candle before you?
You can blow it, get it before the kids get to it. I mean, just,
But we want to blow it out now.
yay. Ooh. And there's Paul in the middle, too. Yay. Oh, may I have the microphone?
Wherever it is.
Wherever it is. Thank you very much. Well, hi. Pretty grand to be alive, isn't it? To have hands and to be able to move. To be able to intend to reach out and find a hand and do so. So let's give this hand on our right side a little squeeze. So we're quite specific. It's you. It's you. And what would be your greatest wish for this person? My mind tends to go these days to may you be healthy. And then what else would it be? What would you really wish? And you're on the receiving end, you know, then, of someone wishing you well. And then changing the polarity to the hand on your left and give this hand a squeeze. It's, my intention is you. And so we bring to being in ourselves these high-minded, loving, kind intentions. And then let's not forget the person between your hands. Be generous. Be absolutely generous with this person. And then to all beings. Let's start with everyone in this room to begin with. Everyone who's ever been in this room. It's a long time. 1939. And then to the beings who live around us here in these homes, and just flooding eastward and westward and north and south to all beings. Beings in positions of great power, beings who are destitute, those being born, those dying. There's a lot of us here on the earth, our brothers, sisters, friends of the air, the earth, and the waters. Resting back in the field of kindness and compassion and love. So, who's singing? Okay. Test one. All righty, here it is.
Ready? May all
Beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So there is an invitation when we're done here in a moment or two. There's some coffee and tea and goodies to come back, and some very fine people to meet with through the door there into the living room. Well, would all the blowers outers get in their position? Everyone in the room make a wish. Watch out for Avi, he's going to sneak in. Are you ready? I'm ready to count. Are you ready to breathe in? 1, 2, 3, blow. Go, 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 go. Oh, oh, whoa, fantastic. It sounded like a hurricane up close here. Well, thank you, dear friends. See you soon. Please come and have a cup of tea. Thank you to those of you at home. Yay. Thanks. It's good to be here.